LegacyMaker, the all sports network, presents a SIRTOBA media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
5, 4, 3, 2.
The wait is over.
So you're giving it to Dale Earnhardt Jr. because he piggybacked off of his dad's name. The only difference is because there was a junior at the end and not a senior.
Yes, and
Okay.
because the fact is, Drew, point with, oh my God,
I had Miami Heat winning last night. I was upset too when they lost. That's with you because of the fact of what you.
Get your popcorn ready. It's time for the In or Out sports debate with your hosts,
Joe Dillard Jr. with LegacyMaker Sports Network, host of Commonwealth Sports Talk.
and Drew Willingham.
Let's go.
Hello, everyone. We are live with another edition of the In or Out Sports Debate, episode 42. I am your host, Drew Willingham, along with this week's returning guest. He is a legend, and especially the founder of the Commonwealth Sports Talk, as well as a colleague of mine here at the LegacyMaker Sports Network. Give it up for Joe Dillard Jr. Welcome back to the show, my man.
Man, it's a pleasure to be here. Another day in paradise and on In and Out. Let's get going, baby.
I appreciate you coming back, my man. And as always, you know, when it comes to the beginning of the show, you know I always like to pay homage to the previous participants, including yourself. Gotta check it out here with the Vault of Fame.
Acknowledge me.
This is why this show was so important, and this is why I am personally validating and vouching for this show. If you are anybody in media, sports, professional wrestling, anything, you need to be on In or Out Sports Debate with my man, Drew Willingham.
And I tell you what, man, this has been a fun ride when it comes to all of these episodes that we have had. We have had now 42 episodes that are going to be in the book soon. My man, Joe Dillard Jr. is here with me, and he is from the Commonwealth Sports Talk, as we discussed here on the previous episodes. I hope you guys that are my current fans have definitely checked it out if you haven't had a chance to check it out. Next week, as we've discussed on the previous episode, we have the episode 43 special edition coming up this Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, as well as the best of episodes 26 through 30 you can see next Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network. Also, check this show out here on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch at the handles listed here, as well as the audio handles promos here as well. When it comes to the Apple, Google's podcast, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Anchor.fm, as well as you can download on iTunes. We are here for episode 42 with my guy, Joe Dillard Jr. We have a bunch of rounds ready to rock. Let's go ahead and get this thing started with round one.
Round one.
I'll tell you what, with round one, we have the New York Mets. The New York Mets should be concerned about the small lead they have over the Braves in the NL East, with only a month left in the season. How do you feel about this, Joe? Are you in or are you out on this?
Got to be in on this one. Again, Mets fan. Love my Mets. But I have to be a realist first and foremost. And let me tell you something. To not be aware of the reigning champs, to not be aware of this little small lead we have, we would have to be asinine to not do that. So we have to continue playing Mets baseball. Hitters have got to hit. Pitchers been doing a great job. But to act like the Braves aren't chomping at our feet, we've got to really win the division because we need to have that momentum going into the postseason.
You're absolutely right. And when it comes to this right here, I mean, you got to be concerned. You've got the Braves right here on your heels. And not only that, I feel like we should go back to see what you were talking about when it comes to your Mets right around trade deadline time when you were here for episode 25. The New York Mets will need to make more moves by the deadline if they want a shot at clinching the NL East this season. Joe, how do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out on this topic?
In. You know, it's very easy for me to say we could win it without a move. However, with our pitchers coming back, Scherzer and our ace coming back, I feel like we are in a prime position to have a great rotation going into winning time. Going into September, October, you've got to have pitchers that are going to hold you down throughout the end. And so, you know, with us having a 1-2 combo that rivals versus anybody in MLB, I think we need to make a move in our bullpen and we need another bat. You know, in a perfect world, let's go dump all our guys, all our prospects and get Soto and be happy and push for it. But we're not the Dodgers. So we get a reliever or two. We get another bat, sure hand bat in the lineup, and then I feel like we're pushing for a pennant run by winning that division. Let's go Mets.
And when it comes to this topic, I actually agree with you as well. I'm in on this too. When it comes to the NL East, the Mets are still in the lead 6 weeks later, which 6 weeks later since we were last together on this show, and they still have the lead over the Braves, a 3-game lead. And a live update here on August 30th. Both teams are actually playing right now. The Mets and the Dodgers are tied at the top of the 6th, and the Braves and the Rockies are playing. It is the end of the 4th right now, and they are tied 2-2. It is going to take all of the next month to see who's going to take the win in the NL East. Whoever doesn't win is definitely getting a wild card spot. They're going to be in the playoffs regardless. It's just going to be it's important to win this division because it's positioning. The first round, of course, you know, you get home positioning, you know, home field advantage. So division winner definitely get top notch over wild card any day of the week.
Since you're quoting it, it's the same thing too, where if we are playing hot ball going into September, October, that only benefits you regardless what seed you end up being. You want to play your best ball. So if we play our best ball and it still falls short to where we fall short to the Braves but win in the postseason, hey, all you can ask for is your best ball going into September and October.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to the Atlanta Braves, you're the defending champions, right? You have lost some pieces. But the biggest thing I want to go back to when it comes to our previous episode, Joe, is we were talking about the trade and they should be making moves. And when you actually look into what the New York Mets did since that July 18th episode you and I had, they really haven't done much. They acquired the catcher Michael Perez from Pittsburgh in exchange for cash. Other than that, they really
Daniel Vogelback as well is brought from Pittsburgh, left-handed switch hitter, uses a DH. But you are 100% right where you were going. We did not acquire the bat that was necessary to make us feel confident. But like I told you in the first episode, you're going to feel confident when you have Mad Max and Jacob deGrom coming 1-2 for you in whatever postseason series you face. You know, and that's what we're hanging our hat on. You know, so.
And I'm not saying this as a Braves fan or anything or whatsoever. I'm doing this, you know, strictly media. But like when you're the defending champions, right, and you're only back by 3 games, and it's the last day of August. That's still they're on your heels. They're nipping at your heels. You're not safe. So when you put all that into perspective, and they've been playing pretty good, they've been hot and cold at certain points of the year. But this is the most important time of the year. September is right here as of the stroke of midnight, my man. So we are here to September time, and they've got 4 weeks left of the MLB. Pujols going for 700, Aaron Judge going for 60, and we got this are the three biggest things in baseball right now, in my opinion. And I'm not just saying that because we're both fans of one of these topics that I'm saying of the top three. I'm saying this because it's legit, my man.
It's legit. It's facts. Judge is going to switch teams and stay in the same town. You remember that.
Oh, that's definitely going to be something we may have to talk about during the offseason. But for right now, we got to stick with what's happening. And with that, let's go ahead and carry that momentum into round 2 with Joe D.
Round 2.
Here with round 2, the acquisition of Patrick Beverley is huge for the Los Angeles Lakers. How do you feel about this, my man? Are you in or are you out on the fact that this is huge for the Lakers?
I'm out. My dad would kick my ass if I said that Patrick Beverley is very important for the Los Angeles Lakers and what they're trying to do to win a championship. There's no way the word huge fits that narrative. When you go 2 for 1, get a guard, we already have a guard, even though he's a good ball player, nothing about this trade makes sense other than them thinking that now they may have a suitor for Westbrook somewhere. But I'm just not a believer in that being a huge deal for the Los Angeles Lakers, or even making them feel like they've changed positions in where they're listed for the NBA Western Conference. So I'm out on that one, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have a compelling argument. Before I even give my take on it, I'd like us to see this Patrick Beverley highlight video put together for us.
Beverley and Patrick Beverley.
He's athletic and he's aggressive.
Shot clock down to 2. Towns back to Pat Bev, gets it away just in time.
Oh, that was nifty.
Let's go back to this beat the clock play by the Wolves. That foul on Beverley is his first.
Just talking to some of the... Too bad Minnesota deserved a better fate on that one. They're going to call it block.
They are going to call it block. 2017-2018.
And sending De'Aaron Fox in the coverage.
Great help defense. The block from behind. Vanderbilt in the open.
Look at the game and all the situational basketball you have to know as a head coach. Pat Bev makes a really hard shot there.
6 offensive rebounds for Minnesota. Morant blocked by Beverley. As Beverley looks back and has words for Morant. Okogie goes back the other way. And Beverley, the dump off for Vanderbilt. Davis with the block. Shot clock is going to be an issue. Beverley draws a whistle, banks it in with 0.1 on the shot clock.
When he's on the right side of the glass, he's one guy that does not use his right hand at all. And Patrick Beverley gets Davis up in the air. Complete, awesome play.
Clippers are 0-3 from 3. What a feed. Beverley sets up Towns right at the doorstep. They nearly turn it over. Russell out of the corner. Beverley an offensive rebound, puts it back up and in. And did he get fouled? He did.
Unbelievable.
Chance for a three-point play.
Here, Patrick Beverley keeps it alive here and is able to corral it and get the and one.
Timberwolves only had 5 assists in the first half. They have 6 here in the third quarter. Beverley unassisted there. Go back to that Beverley bucket.
They are getting the ball out of DeJounte Murray's hands, and that's a good thing.
Beverley knocks it free for a moment.
Shot clock winding down.
Yes, it is, and then the Wolves come up with the basketball. McDaniels takes it the distance and finishes. Morant.
Nice pass.
And great activity. Beverley and Edwards team up to cause that turnover. Edwards drills his second triple of the game.
The steal, because the rolling pass right there, you see the low man help, and there's Anthony.
Josh Hart didn't play in the 2 games.
Wow.
At target
Scrambling.
center. Beverley comes up with the basketball.
What a possession defensively. Ant doing multiple things, and the throwdown by
Okoro. He goes to Osman as Osman has replaced Mobley. Garland stumbled, another Cavalier turnover. Beverley.
Washington is one of the 2 remaining teams in which Nikola Jokic has not had a triple-double against.
Beverley hits the 3, so a couple of threes for Pat Beverley.
Meanwhile, the T-Wolves have been bringing the heat tonight. Here's a 3-on-1. Beverley, Russell, Beasley.
Defensively is to make sure that Jalen Brunson uses the screen. He really rejects well. What a pass by Pat Bev right there to Vando. Help coverage and Pat Bev dumping it back.
Kemba misfires. Beverley with the rebound. Beverley for Layman.
Even with all of that said, I agree with Joe. I'm out on this as well. Don't let those highlights fool you. I am not sold on Patrick Beverley being a huge piece for the Lakers, especially with Russell Westbrook being there. I feel like whether he leaves or not, whether Westbrook gets traded, dealt, however, Beverley's not going to be that big of a piece. You'd be better off keeping them both there and see how they coexist. I'm not sold on Patrick Beverley coming into this team and bringing them back to the 2020 form, which they got lucky with how they won that championship, being the fact that they were in the bubble and had all that rest before they got there as well.
Yeah, I like Pat Beverley, man. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I like Pat Beverley because he's an alpha dog mentality. Comes from Arkansas where they breed dogs there, guys that get after 94 feet. I love all of that, but the NBA is a skilled league, and when you're able to do what you did in Minnesota, that's great because those guys haven't achieved the levels of success that LeBron, AD, and whoever else comes along for the ride when he's in LA. So will we see that same Patrick Beverley you saw in that Minnesota uniform, or will we just see another sideshow Bob to LeBron's carnivore of rides? So I'm not sure what Patrick Beverley we're going to get in LA.
Yeah, we don't want to see any more sideshows. LeBron is not my king. MJ is still number 1. However, I still like watching good basketball, and I don't want to see them implode. I'd like for him to be a good piece for him, but I'm just not sold on him coming in being the keyword huge piece, huge acquisition for this team. That's why I got to go out on that. But when it comes to breaking news and big pieces moving around, we got some breaking news to come up with here on the In or Out Sports Debate. And that breaking news is this. Next Tuesday, we will have a double debate Tuesday. Episode 44 will be here with Brian Snow of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson for episode 44 next Tuesday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network, as well as following that episode 45, James Brown of the LegacyMaker Sports Network will be returning for episode 45, same day that evening at 8:15 p.m. Eastern here on the In or Out Sports Debate. However, we are here for episode 42, a monumental one. Joe D is back for the fire. Let's go ahead and take this into round 3 and see what we got cooking here with round 3.
Round 3.
The unfortunate news that we received, less than 48 hours ago, it seems, for the Washington Commanders when it comes to their starting running back that they had penciled in for this start of this season. He was getting picked up on fantasy leagues. They were starting to go nuts on this. It was starting to, be a big buzz that Antonio Gibson was not going to be number 1, and it was Brian Robinson Jr. And with that being said, Brian Robinson Jr. is lucky to still have a future in the NFL after being shot twice in his lower body this past Sunday. How do you feel about this, Joe? Are you in or are you out on this?
Absolutely in on this one. We're talking about life and death outside of football, risk of losing your life. Anytime you get to recover to doing what you love doing, it is a blessing to be in that position. So I'm very happy for Brian Robinson to be recovering and having a speedy recovery. And also already he has gone back to the team facility. So when you talk about a guy that is 100% vested into his future with the Washington Commanders, I mean, we have to be 100% invested into him too, as he was about to win the starting job. And we have to heal him back to recovery mentally and physically so that he's ready to provide for us, even if it is later down the year. But just to have him back in the facility is amazing 48 hours later. So I just think he is very lucky to have gotten away with that. Somebody must have been very desperate in D.C. because they cannot do our Commanders like that. Please be mindful.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with this. I'm in on this as well. It was sad, very sad news, because when you see the highlights that I'm about to show you here in a second of how Brian Robinson played so far during that preseason, definitely earned a roster spot and kept his roster spot, despite everything that happened. Did get shot in the lower extremities of himself. However, it's not life-threatening. He was in the training facilities today. It looks like he's going to heal up well. And from what even, the higher authorities within the organization are saying, he could be even playing at some point this year, which is remarkable. I haven't really heard an exact pinpointed date on, the timetable for when he's coming back, but the man just got shot 48 hours ago. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect to have an actual date on that, but the fact that the wounds weren't too severe that he was able to have surgery and be out of the hospital in less than 48 hours for one, to be at the training facility, the Washington Commanders training facility today, just goes to show he's going to be okay. I just hope it doesn't affect him, because this highlight video I'm about to show you is titled on YouTube, Brian Robinson is Nasty, and it's for a reason.
Give it to Brian Robinson. He had 2 trips to the Super Bowl, including winning a ring in 2019. On the ground, it's Robinson. And Robinson. Robinson on the ground. He makes a cut, tackled after a gain of. Robinson on second short, and it's just enough.
Yeah, it's been a very special period for the organization, for our family, and I think for our fans as a whole. And
That's right.
he's a heck of a player.
And it appears that
Out of Alabama, Brian Robinson, his first carry up the middle. Here we go. And Robinson picks up from the 45. Off the play fake for Robinson. Here's Robinson out of the backfield. And he's across midfield into Carolina territory.
And when when you think about all that, when it comes to this this running back, it's definitely pretty sad that we've had to endure that when it comes to that, whether you're a fan of the team or just in football in general. Just to see that, we definitely both agree he's definitely lucky to have a future in the NFL. Not only that, but his life, wrestling away, two assailants to try to, keep himself from getting carjacked and getting shot. It's going to put him on the shelf for a while, but he's lucky to not only have a future, but to be alive for that, when it comes to, a weapon, especially a gun when that's involved.
Absolutely. But, that film you just showed, I fell in love with it all over again. The cuts, the vision, the patience, the angles, the power. What doesn't he display? And that just, to me, is just why there's so much buzz going with him walking into week one. And usually you don't get that chance as a rookie. But when Gibson put the ball on the ground, this guy picked it up and never was going to give it back. It took this situation to kind of give Gibson another shot. So we hope B-Rob gets his recovery and gets to contribute this year, but he's definitely lucky to be able to count his blessings and be reporting to camp today and just be a part of football today, 2 days removed.
Absolutely. We're both, we both are fans of the team, obviously, when it comes to certain things that we say, when it comes to how we answer this. It's just for one to know that he's going to be able to come back, but for two to be able to carry on. With Alex Smith's situation, that was an injury on the field, and nobody knew, even though he was clamoring to come back, and it was huge success. This is completely different, but it's still in the same category of potentially could have been life-threatening, and he's going to come back from it, it looks like. So this could be two successful Washington stories in less than 5 years that we'll have. Hell, less than 3 years. So with everything considering with all that. But with all most definitely. And with that, we have now gone through the midway point of the show. Let's go ahead and acknowledge these comments that have been lightened up here on the platforms. Let's go ahead and see what comments we got to see here when it comes to the In or Out Sports Debate episode 42. We'll start this off with a YouTube comment from Dark Medea. Looks like a nice Stewie Griffin picture right there. Says, "What's up, guys?" Our guy Darrell Lee Owens Sr. of the Legacy Maker Sports Network says, "Drew and Joe is hype for this episode." Talking about the Braves are creeping up and only 3 games back. Yes, they definitely are. We're going to have to see what happens when it comes to this NL East.
They've been within 5 for the last month. They ain't creeping. We know they're there. We know that
they're sticking around. They ain't going nowhere. They're going to be right there. John Campbell, the Braves will win the NL East. Well, I hope you're right there, John Boy Billy, because I don't know. I don't know if you're going to be right when it comes to that or not. The Mets are a good team, just not ready yet, says Dark.
A lot of Mets hate out here, I see.
The Braves are the champs. I agree with Drew.
You gotta stay with the champs. I'm not gonna knock that, but for the whole year we've been running the Braves through the mud in regards to holding the NL East. Last year they caught us by now and already had passed us, and we had broke down. We are completing a full 162 baseball season as a Mets organization. So therefore, unfortunately, we'll see you in the postseason. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I mean, they are the champs. We got to acknowledge it with this. They are the champs, the reigning champs currently, but am I going to sit here and say that they're going to be the champs this season? No. Currently reigning champs, however, can't quite say confidently yet that they're going to win it all this year. Can't do that. When it comes to our next comment, after that, it looks like John says, Beverley is trash. Does not like Patrick Beverley. How do you feel about that, Joe, to that comment? We didn't go that far when we were saying our rebuttals.
Yeah, I can't say he's trash. I mean, compared to maybe, but he's an NBA player. So anytime you can dress them up and lace them up in the NBA, you're not trash. You're a role player. I mean, that's essentially what you're asking him to be. He's a role player, and that's not going to help the Lakers be better at all.
Yep. Dark says beverages will make its way to the Hall of Fame.
Beverages.
Talking about beer? Is that what your emoji means there?
Probably before Beverley. Beer before Beverley in the Hall of Fame is what I think he's saying.
Absolutely. You might have to clarify here soon. At least let us know before we get to the second round of comments at the end of the show what you mean by beverages will make the Hall of Fame, or was that a typo? But now you got the beer and the laughing emoji. B-Rob looked sick during the preseason. So, yes, we would definitely acknowledge that. He definitely did look sick during the preseason. It's going to be sad to see that he might not be back until the halfway point of the season, if that. But the fact that we're even able to say that he could potentially be coming back at some point of the season is a miracle, considering what just happened 48 hours ago to him.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to all that, you can't deny the fact that this kid's tough if they're already talking about the fact that he's going to be coming back already. John Kimball says the Commanders suck.
Have your own opinion. Have your own team. They better have more than 3 titles, whoever your team is, John. But at the end of the day, John, you have your own opinion. Just meet us in Washington with that statement.
I think if the Commanders could form themselves into one person, into a promo, they would come back at you at this to pump themselves up before the start of the season.
Jabroni. And The Rock says this, Big Show. Did The Rock call you a jabroni? You're damn right he did. He called 20 others a jabroni as well. Shut your mouth and look at The Rock. Read The Rock's lips. Jabroni. Jabroni. Oh, it doesn't matter how you spell jabroni.
Absolutely. The Rock was spot on with that. And that's how I feel when it comes to how they would respond to that. He does say that the running back is decent, though.
Yeah, I mean, you got to recognize him. He's probably a Bama fan. Half of the nation's a Bama fan, so he's got to give credit. But our whole running back room is decent. And so hopefully we'll have an opportunity to expose them with great matchups.
He says he'll win 2 Super Bowls in the future.
I hope so.
With this team? Answer that, John Kimball. I'll acknowledge that at the end. We got to get going here in a second, but we'll see what else we got. Dark says John Kimball related to Doc Brown, talking about he'll win 2 Super Bowls in the future. John Kimball then says, no, I have visions at dark. Okay.
Hilarious.
And then John Kimball comes back with, I would beat you both in a tag team. Oh, you would? Well, The Rock had this to say about a tag team match. Absolutely. That's what I have to say about that. If you're going to come here and you're going to be challenging people to tag team matches, just bring it. Just like The Rock says, just bring it. And lastly, before we go to the next round, what's wrong with Kimmy? I don't know. Your guess is as good as ours. You guys figure that out in the comments. Maybe we can acknowledge that here at the end in the medial mayhem culmination here at the end of the mayhem culmination. But for right now, we do need to take this into the next round in round 4.
Round 4.
And here with round 4, we go to the by the number segment, with this being episode 42, monumental, just like they all are, but this one especially. Mariano Rivera is the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 42 in all of sports. How do you feel about this, Joe? I know where you're going, but they don't know yet. Are you in or are you out?
I am out. I'm going to talk to y'all like Wilson from Home Improvement. Howdy, neighbor. There's a guy by the name of Robinson who wore 42 who just might have edged Rivera. Rivera's great. No, let's not get it twisted. but the original 42 is saved in all of baseball. Who can say they have the whole league wearing your number for a day of baseball? Like, that is an amazing feat right there. So Jackie is my 42. He takes it all the way back. He's humble. Every game he played was an away game. Every game he played, he was the underdog. So I just give him his credit because that's doing it with humility. And he did not have Enter Sandman when he came to the field.
You know, you come here with a compelling argument, and when I think about it, there's really nothing to think about here. I'm out on this too. When it comes to the best athlete to ever wear number 42, of course you gotta give it to Jackie Robinson. The barriers that he broke coming into baseball to help African Americans, you have to give him the nod when it comes to this, when it comes to number 42. I don't even have Mariano Rivera at 2, Joe. I don't even have him at 2. Even though he has like one of the nastiest cutters, if not the nastiest cutter in the history of Major League Baseball, right? And he was the last person to wear number 42 in baseball because of the grandfather clause, because of when they changed it. However, I got to give the nod to Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott, when it comes to football and what he did while playing football, he only played 192 games, but he has 63 interceptions and 5 touchdowns, as well as 4 Super Bowls within that time frame, and only played for 13 seasons from 81 to 94. So when you put all that in perspective, he was a 10-time Pro Bowler during that time frame as well. I got to give it to Ronnie Lott. Endurance when it comes to the fact that he played a harder sport. Rivera came in as a closer and played very minimal innings because he was dependable at certain points. But when you put it to when you compare football and baseball, when it comes to football, I usually give it the nod unless the stats are just completely stupid and mind-boggling. Even though Mariano Rivera's stats were crazily good, he, in my opinion, not as good as Lott when it comes to 42. I got to put Rivera at 3rd, Lott at 2, and when it comes to 1, you got to give it to Jackie Robinson.
I do have a hometown hero, 42, Terry Kirby out of Tabb High School in UVA. 42 was held very strong by him every time he wore it as well. So I just had to give that little Commonwealth sports tidbit on the side right there. Can't leave my Virginians out.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being a fan of something that's hometown or a little bit homegrown, especially if it's not like professional sports when it comes to that. When we did episode 33, my baseball number for when I play adult baseball is 33. So I was like, is this, I asked Cody, I said, was this kind of close to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? What do you think, Joe? Let's see real quick.
I got a quote for you, and I know you won't know what movie this is. In a hook shot. I need to see it. In a hook shot. You asked about Kareem 33. That's what that was, in a hook shot right there. That's pretty comparable because you're in your prime, aren't you?
I don't feel like it some days, but I guess you can say it. I'm exiting my prime. We can say it's coming to a close here.
Let me tell you, what you did was harder than what Kareem does when he shoots the hook shot. That's the most non-checkable move in basketball is that hook shot. So I'm gonna give you some credit by being out there, still being able to swing that thing.
My man. I didn't have as good of a year this year. Like the numbers decline, and like the way I've been playing is not. But my team got better. We got to the semifinals and almost made it to the finals this year, and we beat the 7-time straight league champions in one of those games in the 5-game series. We lost 3 games to 1. So definitely, we can hang our hats on something good for this season. I'm definitely proud of it. When it comes to this, Mario Rivera is not the greatest athlete to ever wear the number 42. And for the next 3 minutes and 49 seconds, I'm going to show you why.
And here comes Robinson, trying to steal home. He's safe, says the ump. He's out, says Yogi Berra. And brother, is Yogi hopping. And so the opening game ends with the Yankees winning 6-5. Berra still saying he was out, and Dodger fans rather mournfully saying, wait till tomorrow. Jackie Robinson steps in against Ford. Deep into left center, Irv Noren races after Robinson's blast. Jackie really teed off on Ford. Here comes the relay. Jackie slides, he's safe.
Bunt. Might be trouble. Might be trouble. They don't even throw it. Look, that doesn't even throw it. It's a bunt single. So Robinson bunts to the pitcher and bunts it so. Robinson. Reese. Hodges double play. That is double play number 4 for the Dodgers in the series, and it's the 10th double play we've had all the way through. 4-6-3.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I can only say this is one of the truly great moments of my life, and to be here with Roy and Sandy and to see the way that the O'Malleys have reacted is awfully important to me. And I want to thank them for all the many, many opportunities they've afforded me. And I'm sure that in the immediate future, things are going to improve a great deal.
And that's why this is a no-brainer, Joe. That's why,
speechless.
We have to give it to Jackie Robinson here when it comes to that. When it comes to the greatest athlete to ever wear number 42.
Absolutely.
And with that said, let's go ahead and take this into a special bonus round for an updated set of news we got recently when it comes to football.
Surprise, motherfucker.
That's right, surprise when it comes to surprises. And we were all surprised this week when it comes to Jimmy G's recent contract restructuring with a no-trade clause speaks volumes on the team's confidence in Trey Lance. How do you feel about this, Joe? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm out. I think it's a different perspective if you follow out right here that we went through 3 preseason games and no big quarterbacks went down, no injuries during practices. So the 49ers go, let's offer Jimmy G a backup role since he's not getting what he wants. And instead of paying him 24, we can restructure at 6 with plenty of clauses. You look at it, no trade, trouble with Trey. I look at it as Jimmy gets to call his shot where he wants to go regardless. I call it Jimmy wants to, if he's traded this year before the trade deadline, he gets to call it because it's a no trade clause. If he doesn't like where they want to send him, he just takes his $6 million and is a free agent next year. So I think it's kind of a team and player friendly deal. I actually don't think it has anything to do with Trey Lance, believe it or not. I think it will affect him, but I don't think it has anything to do with him. I think that they're just happy they're not paying a backup $24 million and that they could have Jimmy G for one more ride to secure this growth process of Trey Lance.
I'm kind of conflicted when it comes to this because, they're not trading him, right? So they're keeping him. There's a no trade clause. He's even going to get paid less. So he's helping the cap out. So that way they can make some more moves during the season, potentially restructure some deals to help out. He wants to stay in San Francisco. And when I put all that in perspective, I have to disagree. I have to say that I am in on this when it comes to this team and their lack of confidence in Trey Lance. When you really think about what Jimmy G has done for this team, right? I don't know if this team was potentially watching the Legacy on Fire episode that we had from last week here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. But I went off on this San Francisco 49ers management. I actually made a highlight reel of this. 2 minutes, 45 seconds. 49ers, if you didn't see this or their fans, go ahead and check this out. This was straight fire from Legacy on Fire. Put out the fire segment.
Fire, 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 fire. Legacy on fire. All right, next one. My man, putting it out last here, Mr. Drew Willingham. Drew, it's time for you, sir, to put out the fire.
Before I get started, I want to apologize to Kyle because I did not know you were a 49ers fan before the show started. And you might not want to listen to this because my fire is on the San Francisco 49ers because of their management and how they're treating this quarterback situation. This is a joke. Why is Jimmy G still there? It is almost September. What are you doing to this guy? What are you doing to the confidence of him, this team? He's out there telling the media that he deserves to be the starting quarterback over Trey Lance. It is factoid in the news within the past week. When you've got the rumblings in the dark of this is what brings down teams. You're about to be the Washington Commanders of the NFC if this doesn't get fixed soon this year. When it comes to management, when it comes to having trust, when it comes to being a team leader, managing a team, no matter if it's sports, no matter if it is a team, no matter if it's journalism, no matter what it is, there has to be transparency and trust. You have to be able to trust the top. If they're not 100% honest with you, then how can you trust them? People start packing their bags and walking out the door on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday randomly when they are one of the biggest pieces to your team. And what has Jimmy G been? A pretty big piece to this 49ers team. They've been a big, big contributor. Just like, Darrell for Legacy Maker, me, James, you for three-point conversion. You're a big deal for your team. So you have to be treated well from above in order to perform. And Jimmy G isn't performing because he's not being treated well. He's not given the opportunity. He's about to pack his bags and leave. What are you going to get for him? What are you going to get for him, 49ers? I'm sick and tired of watching people walk out the door because they're not treated fairly, because there's too much pettiness going on at the top and too many people being friends with each other in the front office. Get it together. Treat your people right, or they're going to walk out the door. I just don't agree with holding someone back on their potential when they could be flourishing somewhere else. When you could be holding them back and there's somebody who doesn't deserve to be in their place. It's kind of like this. Darrell's doing a great production right now. And same thing with three-point conversion with myself. We do video productions. Anybody can press record, talk on a camera, and hit stop. We're doing productions. So when you compare it, Trey Lance doesn't have the statistics that Jimmy G does. When he hasn't been proven, he didn't play behind Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II and learn how to be a quarterback and take a team to the Super Bowl like Jimmy G did. So, got to give my props to Jimmy G. Got to fight for people and be a team player when I get the opportunity, and that's what I'm doing right now.
Fire, 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 fire. Legacy on fire.
I think they tuned in.
I love that snippet. I 100% disagree with you and still love your point. I can see your point. I 100% disagree with you. But I'm telling myself, I'm like, he sounds right. It makes sense, but there's a flip side to it. Did he not have surgery, Drew? Did he not show anybody he could throw past surgery, Drew? Did he not
are you talking about last season?
I'm talking about Jimmy, porn Jimmy walking into
last season. Are you talking about what he did last season?
No, off season coming into now. He had off season surgery. He has not been able to show that he's thrown since having that off season surgery. And now him being extended, I think the 49ers did him a justice. He was going to be sitting out. They should have cut him so they didn't have to pay him anything, because that's what the NFL normally does when they don't.
They still would have taken a cap hit. They still would have taken a dead cap hit.
Yeah,
one way or another, they were going to pay for it. But
saying though, that's an option, wasn't it? Wasn't it an option to cut him? And my theory is Jimmy G had his run. He had a chance for him to show himself that he was their guy. Whether this management's doing a wrong decision or not, I still think that you can't give Trey this sentence off of preseason. Patrick Mahomes sat a whole year, played the next year. I'm sure everybody thought Alex Smith was the best thing that Andy Reid threw away. And that happened. Nobody called that except for Louis Riddick. everybody else was like, I don't even know who Patrick Mahomes is. I don't know. Texas Tech, I think. He plays baseball too. Like, you didn't know. And to see a kid learn on the fly is how you learn who he truly is. Jimmy G has not learned nothing. It is the same Jimmy G that sat behind Tom Brady, that played in the Super Bowl, that hurt himself to try to, well, I mean, Jimmy G's never won a game for San Fran in the playoffs. He's never lost it, but he's never won it.
Well, I do have this to say. For playing behind Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II, getting 2 Super Bowls, by the way, getting the team, the 49ers, to the Super Bowl just a few years ago. They lost, but he still got them there. Check out, and until he gets on the field and has time this year to prove us wrong, this is what Jimmy Garoppolo did last year, Joe.
2nd down and 7. Garoppolo going to the air. Over the middle, Deebo Samuel with his first catch. And Samuel into Lions territory and down at the 46-yard line. Jeff Okudah finally caught him, but yes, it is a first. Motions out to empty the set. 11th play of this drive is a Garoppolo pass. Down the seam, and he connects. There goes Deebo Samuel. Yards after contact, stepping out of bounds near the 10-yard. Garoppolo off the play action. Looking to the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, Ross Dwelly.
From the LA 40, Garoppolo got it across, and it's Samuel breaking away. Touchdown, 49ers. And Garoppolo doesn't care what the analytics community said.
Now trying to cash in the Niners from the 24, 1st and 10. Garoppolo, look at the time. And to the end zone, caught. It's a touchdown. Grabbed by George Kittle.
Garoppolo. Oh, what a catch by Kittle. George Kittle with the catch.
Wilson in the backfield. Ayuk on the move. Good time. And downfield he goes. Kittle on the fly. Rocketing one downfield to about the 17. Sack would have made it a 54-yard field goal instead. Wilson was in the backfield. 1st and 10. Garoppolo. Downfield. Samuel stiff arms his way into Harmon.
Garoppolo surveying end zone. Caught for the touchdown. Ayuk's got it. And an extra point away from tying it up.
Garoppolo for Samuel. He's got it. Down near the 20. Pass is caught. Jennings, touchdown. 49ers.
The curse is on him. Garoppolo lofts it. Caught. Jennings. 1st down from the 25. Garoppolo has time. Fires it to an open Ayuk. Look at that zigzag. Gets a block from Deebo, and he's all the way to the Cowboy. 38. That's a gain of 37 yards.
Good throw, good catch. Garoppolo, Ayuk, hit in stride, and he just couldn't stay in bounds. He was gone, but his momentum carried him up. 2nd and 11. Garoppolo, end zone, Kittle, touchdown 49ers.
And just like that, what do you think, man? Does that change your mind at all? Do you see them potentially losing confidence in Trey Lance and them giving him another chance at being the guy in San Francisco?
2 things good and 2 things bad. One thing I saw, he didn't bring what Tom Brady taught him, which is to step into his passes. Therefore, he threw off his back foot a lot. So my theory is that the run allowed him to have a lot of open windows to get these passes. I did see like 3 or 4 good window passes, but for the most part, back leg throwing. And secondly, Trey Lance allows that bootleg play action to be electric. And that is what Shanahan lives off of, his counters and off tackles. And if you live off a counter and off tackle, that's a far stretch reach, which comes with a longer bootleg run, which isn't what we just witnessed. We saw shotgun and play action straight back. So I'm not saying Jimmy can't do it. I'm saying he had his chance. And Kyle is saying that you don't fit my system. I can't have all these runners and you sit as a straight drawback quarterback and you can't stretch the play action like that. Jimmy's a good quarterback. He's going to be good somewhere. But what Kyle is doing, they're believing in Trey Lance. Like you could put Lamar at where San Fran is, and I can guarantee you they'll win 3 out of 7 championships if Lamar was to be under Kyle Shanahan's play calling, because that's what Kyle needs and wants, a guy like Lamar Jackson, and that's what he's banking on Trey being. Whether he is or isn't, we'll see. You got to let the tape roll.
You know that's the first time we've really been like against each other on this show, and that was a good way. We both had some good, compelling arguments on that. I definitely like where you're going with that. Fans, let us know what you were thinking while we were playing those highlight videos, and what you think of our takes here when it comes to Jimmy G in this bonus round. With that said, we still have one more round left here on episode 42. Let's get going to that here on the In or Out Sports Debate.
Final round.
And here with the final round on episode 42, let's take it back to Washington and talk about Carson Wentz. Although Carson Wentz has been dependable during training camp, the odds are not in his favor to start all 17 regular season games this season. When it comes to this final topic, when it comes to Carson Wentz, Joe, how do you feel about this? Are you in or are you out on this?
I'm in. I'm in on this one. It's Ryan Fitzpatrick part 2. Okay, you know, this is a Washington fan speaking for a Washington community, and what we should have saw last year, where we knew Patrick might not have been able to play 17, and right now we're not banking on Carson playing 17. We have a formidable black backup with Taylor Heineke, proven that he could play 5 to 7 games. There's not but a handful of quarterbacks in the NFL right now that are penciled in for 17 games. One of them's Aaron Rodgers because he's smart not to get hurt. Another guy because he's durable. But essentially, you're not going to have more than 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks where you're like, oh, we don't have to worry about a backup. You always have to have a backup, or you always have to be prepared for a quarterback not to last 17. It only takes one hit, and we know Carson's history. So you only hope we get the best 11, 10, 9, or wherever many games he lines up for us. We just want the best version of him.
Yeah, when it comes to Carson Wentz being dependable, this preseason doesn't teach us much.
No.
Carson Wentz being dependable during training camp doesn't mean much to me.
No.
The odds are not in his favor, of course. I'm definitely in on this. When it comes to Carson Wentz and what he's done in football, his numbers weren't horrible last year in Indianapolis. However, just him snapping his ankles on that one play will forever be on my mind. And you know what? Joe and I were talking about Carson Wentz on episodes 25. Let's take it back to highlight headquarters and check out this for our final round. You bring up some good arguments with that, but I have to respectfully disagree. I'm out. I have to bring up the fact that last season for the Colts, in one play, Joe, he snapped both of his ankles. He snapped both of his ankles in one play, Joe. I'm sorry. But on the same play, it's not like he hurt his one ankle earlier in the game or even last week and was like, I'm a tough son of a bitch. I'm going to come out here and I'm going to play through this pain and snap the other one. No. On the same play. It takes a special talent to snap both of your ankles on one play, my man. Come on. You really have this high hope for Carson Wentz? I would love to, as a Washington Commanders fan, Washington football, as a whatever fan, but I've got to keep it 100 with you. Come on, man. Do you really think both of those ankles that supports all your weight. Your feet support your weight. Your legs support your weight. And if something goes bad with your wheels, that's important in football. You got to keep upright. Your wheels, I'm saying, and with your wheels, they keep you upright. So with your wheels, you've got to have good wheels to get yourself in football. You got to be mobile enough, especially running away from that offensive line with the Washington Commanders. I am out. Go back to your ranch, Carson Wentz. Get away from football. We got a better shot with Taylor Heineke.
Woo, we do. But Drew, let me just tell you this. I said it last year with Fitzpatrick, and I'm going to say it same with Carson. I need 11 games. It could be 10. Hell, I'll take 9 because Taylor showed he could do it. Give me 9 games, and then your knees and your ankles just don't want to do it no more. Then, I find out we're the pit for quarterbacks then if that's the case. But I just need 9 productive games. And imagine 9 productive games with Carson Wentz and then 7 with 16? So 17 games. So 8 games again with Taylor Heineke, who he's familiar with already. I'm only speaking for Terry. I can't speak for Carson. Carson may even have a butt fumble, but if Terry gets 120 grabs this year, Terry's winning. His best quarterback before this was Taylor Heineke.
And that's straight from the highlight headquarters from our episode 25, straight out of the Vault of Fame right there. And when you look at that, when you see what we were both saying there, when it comes to Carson Wentz, fans, you let us know what you're thinking. Do you trust Carson Wentz for all 17 games? You got Taylor Heineke there. Joe, what's your final thought when it comes to this within the final round?
I mean, in a perfect world, I give it to you that he starts our first 11, 12 games and we Nick Foles him. Maybe Carson's more known for that than anything else. Maybe Carson's known for the guy to get a team 11 games and believe him. And then we have our backup come in and he finishes the job. But to me, the end of the day, Carson is a journeyman quarterback that is on his last win with us. And so I'm only wishing the best, but I just don't see it. It's very hard for a Washington fan to be confident that he's going to be able to play 17 games, let alone be productive. So that's why we're just asking for 9 or 10 productive games. We can let Taylor finish the rest. We believe in Taylor more than we do.
Yeah, when it comes – absolutely. And when you think about all that, you just lost the starting running back. You got to reshuffle the offense. Things change now in Washington. Let's go through the schedule real quick when it comes to how they started off. They got the Jaguars in week 1. You definitely, even considering everything that's happened, I still feel like you should be able to pull that win out at home starting out the season. You go on the road for the next game to the Lions. It's probably going to be a tough one with Dan Campbell. What we've seen on Hard Knocks, actually got the Lions winning this, and they're going 1-1 to start the season off.
I got it the other way around, same concept. I got them winning week 1 and losing to us week 2 because they fought hard coming into the season.
That's what I'm saying. I said that the Commanders win to the Jaguars in week 1, and they lose to the Lions in week 2.
No, I got the Lions the other way. The Lions will win week 1 and lose to us in week 2. That's why I went backwards.
Well, so you think they're going to be the Jaguars and be 2-0 starting out?
I believe Washington has a 2-0 chance.
Okay, let's keep track of this. Eagles, they have for the 3rd game of the season. I've got the Commanders winning this game. What do you think? Do you think they're going to win this game or they're going to lose and be 2-1?
2-1 possibly, because Eagles early in the year tend to have their best version of themselves early in the year. So I just don't know how we intend on stopping Jalen Hurts when we have a defensive coordinator who calls bland defenses in the middle of the year. So it just always eases me and rubs me wrong when we have a hard task on the defensive side. And the Jaguars doesn't present a hard task, and Detroit doesn't present a hard task. And that's why I believe they're winnable games, along with the teams not being as good. But week 3, Philly has that it factor right now, and they'll either show it versus us or we'll go 3-0. But I just see Philly getting us that week. I got us at 2-1 after week 3.
So week 2 and week 3 are our wild cards so far. We both have them a little bit different, but we both see it being potentially 2-1 going through the third week. So going into the fourth week against the Cowboys for the first game of October, going into Jerry World, I've got the Commanders beating the Cowboys here in week 4 to be 3-1 and to shock the world here on October 2nd. How do you feel? You got them winning or losing this one?
There's no way I'm going to say we're going to lose to the Cowboys, first of all, but I'm going to have substance with it and just explain to you that the Cowboys coming into us will only have won games based off of them running the football because they will not believe in their wide receivers as much, or they will have success running. That will not be the case versus us. We will not allow that to happen between tackles running, which will not set up play action, which means Dak's got to go out and beat us on his own. And if he's going to throw 40 times versus us, then it's up to Jack to call the right call to make that hurt. Because any quarterback throwing 40 or more times, usually it's not a good sign in the regular season. So that's where I'm at with that.
This is the fourth game starting out the season. I have them starting out 3-1, say whatever they want. But then after that, going into the fifth game, this is where it starts. The tide's going to start to change. They have the Titans coming into Landover, and I feel like the Titans are going to pull this one out going into the Commanders. Carson Wentz will have 4 full games under his belt at this point. Then he's going to, going into game 5, I have a feeling that the Titans are going to come in and beat the Commanders. They've been building a pretty good program over there with Mike Vrabel. I feel like they're going to come in and play very well.
Just going to they're physical. They're very physical.
Yeah, and despite they don't really, whether it's Tannehill or whoever the quarterback that they have playing in for this season, they're gonna have a pretty good season. Overall they're well built.
And a flip flop with that, we didn't mention that AJ Brown is an Eagle. So with them not having an AJ Brown, but us seeing AJ Brown now twice, you can't forget that.
Absolutely. So with that, I have them being 3-2 going into Chicago. And going into Chicago, I feel like the Commanders have a pretty good chance beating this Chicago team. Although, seeing some of the things they've been doing during preseason with the Bears, Justin Fields, if they do this right, they could have something special here in Chicago. It's just a matter of when they're going to be able to turn it on and if the coaching can stay consistent with what they've had here recently within Chicago. How do you feel about this? Do you feel like the Commanders will win this game or they will lose to the Chicago Bears?
I feel like we're going to win this one, but I'm telling you, it's almost what you just said about Chicago right there. And you take Chicago right out and put Washington in that same sentence. And it's if we execute and we play to what we have the ability to be 4-2, 5-1 going into the first 6 games. But you've got to execute. You've got to have the right game plan for each game.
So with this take, going into this, I have the Commanders and Bears at that point 4-2 with the Packers coming into Landover for the next game. I definitely would have to say the Packers, for Darrell's sake, will win this game coming into Landover against the 2-time back-to-back reigning MVP quarterback. Regardless if he doesn't have Devontae Adams or not, he's still a threat to the entire league. And definitely to this Commanders defense that actually they are pretty established at this point, not established enough that I can't say that Aaron Rodgers can't pick apart that defense. I have to say that the Commanders will be 4-3 at this point coming into this game against the Packers. What do you think?
I agree. And just to add a little salt to it, I feel like if we somehow lose to Chicago, we'll beat Green Bay. And if we beat Chicago, I think we'll split that rival group because the NFL is so weird. Like, we're not nobody's favorite. I'm not going to bet to beat the Packers, but it's just the way sometimes some things set up. And if you play a weak team before and then they beat you, then your coach could be on the hot seat and they come and play their best game the next week. Or if Green Bay played a hard team like, San Fran and they were physical with them the week before and then they come face it. It's always the matchup before and after and also how you approach it going into the game. So sometimes I give a different perspective with that, but I'm adamant about how this Jekyll and Hyde shows up sometimes for Washington. And
continue, my bad.
We could compete with everybody just like the NFL is designed for, but you have to execute and you have to protect what's yours, the ball and possessions.
Absolutely. And then when you have the Packers there, I'm saying they'll be 4-3 going into the Colts. Carson Wentz against his former team. They've got Matty Ice now. I feel like it's going to be back-to-back tough ones, especially going into that. They're going to be 4-4, in my opinion, finishing October just barely at 500. They're going to be 4-4 finishing October, losing back-to-back games against these teams, the Packers and Colts. Going into back home at Landover against the Vikings, Kirk Cousins will come to town if he's healthy and if the team is still healthy and if Carson's still healthy, whether it's Heineke or not. I have a good feeling that by this point, losing back-to-back games, they're going to turn it around and beat the Vikings at home to be 5-4 at that point. How do you feel about that, Joe? Starting out here in November, the first game in November, how do you feel about that?
I hope Kirk Cousins is healthy for that game because it's going to give us motivation.
Absolutely.
That's all I can say.
No, you're absolutely right. Going into Philly for the next week, though, I have them barely at 5-4, leaving against that home matchup with the Vikings. I feel like they're going to lose to the Eagles coming into that next game and to be 5-5. You got us getting
swept. See what I'm saying? See, that's why I think the pride kick in. I think because I called the first one a loss, I have to give the second one a win, or vice versa, because here's the NFC least, the NFC East, the NFC, whatever you want to call it. It's always competitive football all the way to week 17. And what that means, as soon as somebody has a 2-game lead, that means they're going to blow that lead in the next 2 to 3 weeks because nobody runs away with the division. They want to say, oh, the last 19 years we've had 19 different winners. No, you've had 19 competitive seasons of division football. That's what you've had. And so I just don't see the Eagles running away with it as they're like the now favorite since Dallas's line is depleting. And I know we can get them one time. I just don't know if it's at the beginning of the year or if it's this week we're referring to here. But I think we would take a L versus the Eagles on the second go around.
Yeah, it's just when I put on that perspective, I did have them winning that first one, I believe. I just feel like at this point in the season, I just feel like it's going to make that record at 5-5 at this point. This team's going to struggle here with it being midway point in November, just looking realistically with how they usually play within the division and how things are structured currently. I feel like it's going to be another year before I see some really big growth within the organization. I have to pick them losing in Philly for this November 14th game to say that they'll be 5-5. Going into the next week, going into Houston, though, they're playing the lowly Texans, who have dealt with all that backlash from the Deshaun Watson situation. Haven't really made big enough moves for me to say that they have, we should be losing to them or for me to pick it. So at this point, I'm going to say they're going to win and to be 6-5, leaving Houston after this November 20th game. Going into the next week, I do have them coming back home against the Falcons, which, losing Matty Ice, the acquisitions they've made, I can't really say additions because you haven't really replaced Matty Ice, but the acquisitions they've made at quarterback and what they have with Kyle Pitts and all, I still feel like they're a pretty good, pretty good squad. However, I feel like the Commanders can beat them here at the last game of November to be 7-5 to finish November. How do you feel, Joe?
I think our running backs can just beat that Atlanta team. If we find a way to use the 3-back set versus them, I believe that's how we beat Atlanta.
All right. Yeah, that's definitely a good take on that. I definitely feel like that should be utilizing that. And, if Ron Rivera does that, we'll see what happens. The next week we go to New York against a team with Daniel Jones. He may or may not even be the quarterback at that point. How do you feel they do against Daniel Jones and the Giants or whoever the quarterback is for that first game of December?
If you follow this division, if you know what we do and you're a Washington or Giants fan, these are the ugliest games we play against one another. It'd be a 10-6 game, 9-6 game. So I'm going to say we win in a dogfight, regardless if Daniel Jones is there or not. It's just always ugly when Washington and the Giants play. So first one, I'm going with us in like a 13-9 game.
I agree with that. So at that point, we'll say with my record that I have met it so far, 8-5, leaving that New York Giants matchup. 4 games left in the season. We have the Giants, which it's odd, like it's like back-to-back games. How often does that even come about? With many seasons, but
Correct.
Not that often. But back-to-back, I feel like coming back home. You've already pumped up because you beat them at their house. You're gonna beat them again. They're gonna be 9-5 at this point, coming into the last part of the season, first game back at home for December, they're going to win it. Going into San Francisco, though, the following game, I feel like they're going to lose against a Jimmy G-led San Francisco 49ers. On Christmas Eve, they're going to lose, and we're not going to have a Christmas present. What do you think about that one?
I got to win, because if we're going to beat the Giants twice and we're going to go and have an opportunity to play in the playoffs, then that means that somebody else is not in the playoffs. And San Fran could be struggling with Trey still stumbling into that week versus us, or even if Jimmy G is the quarterback. But I just don't see San Fran having the success that they automatically assume they're going to have walking into this year. I think it's one of them games we'll need to win, and we'll win just because we need to win it.
By my calculations, you are at 10-5. I'm at 9-6 at this point. With 2 games left in the season, the Browns come into town against the Commanders. I have the Browns actually winning with a Deshaun Watson-led team, and we will be 9-7 at this point. How do you feel about that? Do you think Deshaun Watson wins that? So
100% agree, but it'll be running. Okay. They're going to teach us how to play in the playoffs, because they're going to run. Chubb is going to run right through us. It's not even going to be a Watson show. It's going to be Chubb just running consistently, pounding the rock, and they're going to show us what we need to do in order to be successful. And I think that's like one of the medicine games we'll need going into the postseason run if we were to have one.
Absolutely. And that's, the Browns might not be in playoff contention at that point because of the suspension and what they do during that time frame without Deshaun Watson, but you'll see flashes of the future because he's going to be studying that playbook. He's already been there during training camp and during preseason, so he's already gotten time with the team. During his downtime, he's going to be studying that playbook and getting to know it. And then we have the final game of the season still in Washington or Landover. And at this point, I have the team at 9-7 going into this game. I feel like at this point against the Cowboys are going to beat them twice, sweep them twice to finish the season at 10-7. Joe, do you have them getting the win here?
I think this game is going to be for the division title. Even though Philly was the favorite, I think that this could lead to the division title, and it would have us winning.
11-6 is what you would pick them at if you have them winning here. I'll be one less. I've got them at 10-7. You got them at 11-6. So.
Correct. I'll take either one though. Don't get it twisted. I'll take either one.
I'll take 11-6 because that'll most likely guarantee us the division, depending on how the other teams play.
Correct.
But some people are going to be saying, "What are these guys doing talking about this?" Is saying that they feel like this is guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. It's just our picks. If we were to pick based on the schedule right now, and if Brian Robinson comes back, and he comes back, we'll say a little over midway point of the year, because that will be, about 3 months, midway point. No, I'd say about like 2.5 months. Yeah. He might be able to heal in enough time, but he's got to rehab and stuff. We'll see how that goes, but it's not as severe as what we once thought when we first heard the news. So correct. Carson Wentz, has been dependable during training camp, but does he finish during that schedule is what I was getting to with going through all the schedule part. I don't feel like he finishes that schedule out and they get the division title that way. I feel like it's going to be Taylor Heineke who comes in at some point and proves that he can be a quarterback in this league.
Quarterbacks tell your story. Quarterbacks tell your franchise's story. And so, the Phillies won Super Bowl is an anomaly where you have your starting quarterback start the first 3/4 of the year, and then your backup comes and leads you to a Super Bowl. I mean, Oakland, the Raiders had it a long time ago with Stabler and all of them back in the day coming in with the backup and winning. It's not often that happens. So you almost have to wish Carson success and health to play. Now, he may not play all 17, but you want him healthy so that Taylor can get 4 or 5 games in. Shows that we have a viable backup, and it also keeps Carson fresh for a playoff run if we were to have one.
Yeah, I would say I would definitely agree with that. I mean, it just depends on what Carson Wentz does with the time starting in. And if they pull him for injury and Heineke goes in and plays well, that's one thing for morale. But if it's, he's struggling, when do you pull the plug? And when will they pull the plug? That's they have 17 games now that they have to play. There's a lot more that goes into that one last game.
Absolutely.
It's detrimental to the entire season in a lot of cases, especially in this NFC East that is known for having that last game of the season nail biter to get in the playoffs type of situation, or seeding, whether it's you're the one who's the division winner and the next one's the wild card, or you're the one who wins to get in and the other one's going home. It's one of the two.
Absolutely.
So definitely detrimental either way. We've gone through all of these rounds, 6 rounds here on the In or Out Sports Debate, and we've definitely got a little bit more to go. We've got the Vault of Fame that we should acknowledge real quick, and acknowledge that our guy is now a 2-time Vault of Fame inductee. Let's go ahead and rock and roll.
Acknowledge me.
And that's right, my guy Joe D is a 2-time Vault of Fame inductee here on the In or Out Sports Debate with episode 42. Don't forget, next week we have episode 43 this Sunday for a special edition Sunday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, as well as the best of episodes 26 through 30 next Monday here on the In or Out Sports Debate with In or Out Sports Debates Volume 6. With that best of episodes 26 through 30 on LegacyMaker Sports Network, as well as announced previously, episode 44 will be here next Tuesday with Brian Snow of Snowman in the Morning here at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, as well as James Brown of the LegacyMaker Sports Network here for episode 45. We are at 45 episodes, Joe, here on the In or Out Sports Debate. This is episode 42. My guy is ready and rock and rolling to be going up here with the final word. He is ready to knock it out of the park to finish this episode off on a greater note than what he's already put forward so far. He's already done such a great job, man. Thank you again, Joe, for coming back. But we have one other segment to go through, and that is the final word. And here on the final word, for those of you who are new to the show, just checking it out here for episode 42 potentially, the final word is where we have just anything that's on our mind from all the topics we discussed here on the show, or just all the topics in general in sports. What is on your mind there, Joe? Go ahead and kick this off with the final word.
New York, U.S. Open. The celebrities that have come to watch the greatest tennis player of all time come to a culmination of a career. And call your shot doing it at 40 playing tennis when your life shelf is less than 10 years and it starts at 18. She's done 2 whole terms of tennis, is how you'd like to call it. So I wanted to throw my flowers to Serena Williams for putting in the time, the effort, the dedication. She has made the game better. She has made people follow in her suit. These young ladies that are following her now have the DNA of her because they watched her dominate. They watched the power of the serve. They watched her aggression, her emotion, her dedication, and it is bled throughout the sport. So I wanted to give them a praise to Serena Williams, regardless of what the final results are for you at the U.S. Open, regardless if you do part-time after this. It has been an honor to be in the same realm and watch you play tennis and bring that joy and excitement to a game where only you shine as an individual and you only lose as an individual. And that is something that is hard to do.
I love that take. And, me and Wale Akinso covered this on episode 20 as well, talking about Serena Williams. Did a great job covering that. And with her coming back is definitely huge for tennis. Her having, I guess, her farewell tour, which she's calling it an evolution, not a retirement. But with all that being said, it's definitely huge for tennis for her to come back. But with my final word, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go back into you, San Francisco 49ers. I already lit you up last week on the Legacy on Fire, and I look forward to seeing what my guys have to say tomorrow. Joe D is going to be on tomorrow's episode of Legacy on Fire as well. So I look forward to see how he follows up my appearance on the Legacy on Fire, because it's very hard to do what I did. Not hard to do what I did, hard to follow up what I did, because that was a legendary episode. You saw it. You saw it with my take on Jimmy G. Enough said. I'm sorry. I don't usually toot my own horn that often. But when it comes to that episode, go look at the views. Just look at the episode in general. Look at that clip that I played for you. Guys, check this out. We have lit it up now for an hour and a half, the longest reigning episode on the In or Out Sports Debate. I told you it was going to be special. I told you this was going to hit some echelons, and it did with episode 42. That's my final word. And what I have to say when it comes to San Francisco 49ers, I hope you watched it, and I hope that's why you kept Jimmy G, because he needs to be with San Francisco. He wants to be in San Francisco, and he wants to prove it that he can stay healthy and take this team further in the playoffs. Not only further in the playoffs to the Super Bowl, but get you that Super Bowl, and take that advice that Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II gave you at one point in time with those 2 Super Bowls that you sat on the bench with the headset and you learned how to be a quarterback, and you did with Thomas Edward Patrick Brady II. I rest my case.
News alert: Thomas Brady has played more games this year than Carson Wentz.
Absolutely, and missed more time than Carson Wentz. However, when it comes to... Oh, you're talking about Carson Wentz or Jimmy G?
Tom Brady will play more games than Carson Wentz this year.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
You brought up Thomas Edward. Anytime you brought... I just had to keep with the Thomas Edward push.
He's still ranked number 1. You know, we can still keep this. He's still ranked number 1 out of the best of, what was the best of 500 players or whatever it was that list that came out. Mm-hmm. Still number 1, and he is 40 mother-fathering 5 years old, Joe. 45 years old.
You could pencil him in for 15 games. You could pencil him in for 15.
I think he plays all 17 like he did last year. He's going for records.
He's
going for 100,000 passing yards at this point. So when you put all that in perspective, Brady is what is his total real quick? Let me actually, if you don't mind, guys, let me take a second and let me see what his passing yards for his career are. Passing yards are at, because I think he's at like 90. He enters a 2 with 97,000 career passing yards.
Mm-hmm.
No, he has 84,000 in a regular season. The rest are postseason. So, but he still needs to get 16,000 more yards, which if he played for 3 more years at the rate that he's playing right now, I believe he could do that. He'll reach 100,000 when it comes to combined with the postseason. But when it comes to, I think he wants to stick around and play and get 100,000 regular season, because he could. He's so damn close.
He's Benjamin Button it. Like, everybody plays for championships at the end of your career. He already did that. He's planning to take out Dan Marino and Peyton Manning. He wants all their 100,000 yards taken away. He wants their touchdowns taken away. He wants everything. Do you hear me? He doesn't want that civil conversation. Oh, Tom's great winning Super Bowls, but Dan, I got to have Dan in a shootout. No. Tom wants everything. Thomas Edward Brady wants it all.
He does, and I see him getting to 100,000, and maybe I don't see him doing it right in the middle of the season and then stopping in the middle of the season, but he could, just saying, hey, I got to 100,000. I've got like 24 Super Bowls at this point or whatever it is. Let's go ahead. Time to hang it up. At that point, I think he gets, I think he gets 1 more, but that's it. And it could be this year, but that line is not looking all that great. It's not proven to me that it's a Super Bowl winning caliber team. I do think that they get to the Super Bowl, because I called it on Legacy on Fire in my top 5 NFL teams in last episode. I feel like they can make it to the Super Bowl, but I feel like they lose to the Buffalo Bills.
It's a tough one.
So with that, we have one more thing to acknowledge, and that is the Mayhem culmination. Let's see what the fans have to say in response to what we said after the Media Mayhem. It got lit. It got lit in this chat, my man. You know, we left off on what's wrong with Kimmy, said Dark. That's where we were at the Medial Mayhem. Lot was trash.
Oh no!
Wow!
Somebody.
Like Dolomite said it the best. For real.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Like, even Charles Barkley got to jump in.
That's terrible.
Because it is. With that, he then goes from this to so was Roger Craig. Snowman is going to light you up if you come back, John Kimball. First time you've been on here. I was going to thank you for being on here, but you're kind of taken to the next realm. I got to save this clip for Snowman. He says that Lot was trash and so was Roger Craig. Saving that for Snowman. What do you have to say in response to that?
Man, 2 Hall of Famers were trash, is what he's saying.
Facts. And
he's got to be a Green Bay fan or a Dallas fan. He's got to be one of the 49ers hated rivals for people that don't like the 49ers. That's my only explanation, Mr. Kimball.
Absolutely. Dark comes back with Jimmy G is the man. So he likes Jimmy G. He's a fan of Jimmy G.
Yeah, porn star Jimmy G.
Says straight lit a fire under the 49ers with that take. Yeah, I went off on them on that clip from Legacy on Fire. This is probably what happened.
You can't handle the truth.
Because I straight lit it up. Thanks, Jack. Let's roll it another time.
You can't handle the truth.
It was rough, and they made it happen. They kept him. They're not trading him. They faced the truth, and they made it right by our guy. You know, when it comes to that, you're absolutely right, Dark. Definitely straight lit a fire under him with that one. Jimmy G wins a Super Bowl for San Francisco. So he wins a super shit, is what you're saying. Is that what he's doing?
He takes a bow on his way out of town. I don't know.
Well, we'd have to take the EL off. Bowel, and what I'm thinking is dropping a deuce, in my opinion, and what I'm thinking about that. So you didn't put the turd emoji. Hopefully you misspelled that, but if you're saying he wins a Super Bowl, on that alone, we got to say this. He's got to get to this point, and right now we're saying this.
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
After all the drama that we've just encountered, I can't say playoffs right now. We got to see how the first half of the season pans out for this team first.
Yeah, them re-signing Jimmy just kicked them out of the playoffs. I just want you to know that. And sometimes stuff like that happens, but to the spoils of a victor of another team, because somebody's going to be moved up into a slot, because now they've got a lot of turmoil going on.
Kimball comes back with they win it this year.
Oh, wow.
And then he says this highlight video proves me right, I guess, talking about how Jimmy G was playing. I mean, I wasn't saying they were going to win the Super Bowl this year, but when you're saying that they're going to win the Super Bowl with Jimmy G this year, and it's going to be that the highlight video proves you right, I actually have to go back with this. Screaming A. Smith will come back at you with this.
Stay off the weed.
Because that's what Snowman comes back with. He calls him Screaming A. Smith, and that's for you, Snowman. I will give you that. But when it comes to that, no, I did not say that, because then if I were to say that, this is what I would be in the eyes of Triple H.
You know, liar, liar.
And no, we are telling it to you straight 100, Kimball. No, we're not saying that Jimmy G wins the Super Bowl or Bowl or whatever you want.
Didn't he already get a chance?
He did, but he might at some point, but I don't know about this year. You know, we're not even putting that in the equation. I got to see how they play the first half of the year. But you're saying that them re-signing him messes with the confidence of Trey Lance for one, but that team chemistry-wise is making it to the playoffs. I can't disagree with you at this point. Yeah, but I do say that I feel like it was good in the fact that Jimmy G gets to stay and he doesn't have to worry about all that drama and stuff, and go back to what I was saying earlier with it, But he says that he likes your take on San Francisco, so he disagrees with me on that. So, that's good to respect.
I mean, your take can be right, and so can mine. It's one perspective of Jimmy G's, one perspective of San Fran. Jimmy G might not have had any offers. If he didn't get any offers, then that might have been the reason why he comes back. But if he had offers, then why didn't they trade him? So that's why I'm like, it's always that war room talk with tradings, free agency, and offseason stuff. It's just always rubs me wrong.
No, you're right. I don't disagree with that. With this, we really don't know how it's going to pan out until we see how the season goes for at least midway to 3/4 of the season. That's when some of our questions start getting answered. That's when some of our statements of our predictions get proven right or wrong at that point.
Absolutely.
But Dark comes back with, don't compare him to Fitzmagic, Joseph. Wentz is not that good. Shots fired.
Damn!
You have the floor, sir.
Look, you must like Ryan Fitzmagic. The only thing I can say is Fitzmagic is smarter than him. We know that for a fact because of his school he went to. But Fitzmagic was on losing teams, letting it rip. He should have played for Bruce Arians under the no risk it, no biscuit motto, because that's what Fitzmagic was. Now, I give it to you. He had a longer stretch to prove you and make you fall in love with it. But by the time he got to us in Washington, we were out of love. I knew about his son playing football in Loudoun County. That was the highlight of me and Fitzmagic. I didn't get no magic in Washington. So, hey, your call, buddy.
Hey, that's he straight lit a fire under that one. He didn't like you comparing him to Fitzmagic there. Kimball comes back with Carson Wentz will win another championship in the XFL. I got to give you that one, Kimball. That one was
welcome back
funny.
to the circle, Kimball. Welcome back to the circle.
Welcome back to the circle, Kimball. I'll give you this. Because that was great, Kimball. That was good. I hope I have high hopes for him, but I don't want to get my hopes too high at the same time.
High hopes.
But with that, Kimball fires back for Triple H and Stephanie, I guess, as the owners.
I don't know. Maybe he saw the Triple H in HBK moment and thought that should have been Triple H and Stephanie. I don't know.
Well, maybe. It's kind of funny that you bring up Triple H. Maybe you have watched the past episodes because I have this up my arsenal. If The Rock's the owner of the XFL and acquiring the services of Stephanie, I don't know how this would go.
Do you think you're really special because you've cashed in on the services of one Stephanie McMahon Helmsley? A $2, no. 50 cent, no. Buy two, get one free. Does anybody have change for a nickel? Grab it. What? Change for a nickel?
Hey, man. He straight lit that up with anybody have change for a nickel. Buy one, buy two, get one free.
Wait, no. Yes, that is classic Rock right there. That is Jabroni University right there, yo.
Whew.
Oh my goodness, nobody does it like he does it. Oh,
I hope you liked that one, Kimball. That one was for you. So with that, Kimball then says Heineken, I guess he's talking about Heineke, wins 4 Super Bowls over the next 11 years, starting in 2024.
Is this like Jim McMahon on crack or something, where our defense is great and we just have a quarterback there that can be consistent over the next 11 years? Because I don't see how he has an equation of us doing that unless we have something dominant. Something's got to be dominant to be considered 4 Super Bowls in 11 years.
I think our guy Samuel L. Jackson would be asking this question.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Absolutely. Do you speak it?
Because
you're starting to get out of control with that, Kimball. Let's see if you get back into your box. Dark says, give me 2 of whatever he's on. Absolutely, when it comes to that, because that's, dude, I don't know how to even take that. It kind of goes back to what Granny was doing.
Some good shit. Stay off the weed.
Pimpleton says he's not on anything. Well, if you're not on anything, he comes back. I feel like we have to come back with this.
You know, liar.
Maybe he's coming back to life with Brady makes it to 50 with his next comment.
Not so much.
Then retires at 111,000 passing yards.
5 more years of football, needing almost 25 to 30 that he just stated right there.
Yeah.
No, that's 37.
That's a lot.
In 5 years.
Even Keanu Reeves can't handle that.
Whoa.
That's a lot, dude.
Whoa.
That's a lot. That's a
Whoa.
lot of passing yards. He's 45. It's 5 years. He has to get from 84,000, or what was it, 84? No.
84 to 111.
84 and a half. Yeah, he's at 84,520. Yes. 84,520. Yeah, 80. Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot.
27,000 over 5 years is over 5,000 each year. It's not happening.
I could see him throwing 5,000 in a year because he's done it. You know,
maybe
I could definitely
3 of the 5.
Yeah, I'd say I was going to say 2, but
games.
I'll give you the 3 of the 5. So that's 15. So he still has to come up with the other, like what, 12,000 in 2 years. Yeah, that's not happening. So yeah, and he's not going to play till 51 or 52 just to get 111,000. If he gets 100,000, he's just going to be happy with it because he got to 100,000. He's going to get to 100,000. It's just a matter of when and if he plays till 50. But 111,000. Even with what our guy Keanu said with that, no, we're like, whoa, and Dolomite has to come back for this one too.
Bitch, are you for real?
Seriously, because I just don't understand it. I don't think Brady wants to play that long. Don't take it the wrong way, Joseph. I guess he was talking about when we were acknowledging the comment when we started off or when we were acknowledging the last comments. Okay, never mind. You handled it well. Thank you, Joseph. He likes calling you Joseph for some reason. I would whoop him. Who are you talking about? You talking about The Rock? No, The Rock would come back with this.
You see, The Rock is going to take his boot.
Oh, no. Not the boot.
And then The Rock is going to turn it horizontal or sideways, just the way you like it, or so The Rock has heard.
Wait a minute.
And then, Kurt, in one swift motion, The Rock is going to take his boot and stick it straight up your candy ass!
And then, when you put all of that in perspective, he then even has the audacity to acknowledge that he was talking about The Rock. And I have this saved over from the last episode last night for you, too, with this one.
Activity just outside of pit lane.
Shit! Some wild things were said tonight. Really, really said, and I had to acknowledge them with these. And I'm going to go back to this one with Heineke wins 4 Super Bowls. This is that gives you the troll alert with this last one by Charles Barkley.
Are you kidding me?
If he can acknowledge the trolls like that, then so can we here on the In or Out Sports Debate with this episode 42. Guys, it has been one entertaining episode 42. Thank you for those couple of you who were here with us throughout the show. You did say some far-fetched things. The chosen one has not been back. I guess he didn't come. He missed tonight's episode. He didn't come here with the chosen one. He was here for episode 25. Really said some really far-fetched things tonight. Tonight it seemed like it was more in fun. There was some wild things that were said, but guys, we went an hour and 50 minutes just about by the time we get through this outro. That means we have one final thing left to do for this episode 42. Thank you again, Joe, for being here for this. Means a lot, my man.
Anytime.
Let's go ahead and take this into one badass outro. You guys stay safe out there in these streets, and I will see you this Sunday for another live edition with Joey Raymond at 8:30 that evening on In or Out Sports Debate. Take care.